Blonde in the District is, and how'd you get the name?
My name is Danny Souter, and Blonde in the District is a style, beauty, and full-on lifestyle blog. I got the name because I was trying to think of something that was a little bit more, I don't know, I wanted to have in the district or some sort of DC aspect. And, you know, I've always been huge on my hair, so I said this makes sense to do blonde. And one day it just like came to me and I was like, Blonde in the District, because that's what I am.
You also have a day job. I don't think people even realize that.
I'm an IT contractor to the government for my 9 to 5. My blog is my like side hustle, even though it's basically a full-time job in itself too.
You started it when, and how has it grown?
I started 5 years ago last month. I just hit my 5-year blog anniversary. I literally started it because I was in a job that was just really, my confidence was at an all-time low because the job was so bad and I couldn't fully express myself through work. So I turned to style as a way to express myself to kind of like help amp up my confidence again. So I ended up leaving the job. And in the time that I was like looking for a new job, I was like, you know, I should start a blog talking about how, you know, style, I use style as a tool to boost my self-confidence, because I think a lot of women look at style as like, they're like, oh, I don't know about this trend or that. And I'm here being like, try it, because it may make you feel really good in it. And it just, everything. It's like, if you look good, you feel good. So I kind of started, you know, just basically based on confidence. And then as like the body positivity movement started, I was like, this really resonates with me. This makes sense. And this is like back to my whole vision when I started. It was never about like a certain size. It was just anybody, any woman, any man can be stylish at any size. So that's when I started rolling in like the body positivity as well.
How many followers do you have now? How much time do you work on it?
So I went from like basically just doing like photos. Like my dad was my first photographer. My husband, you know, like was like, you want to do this vlog thing? I was like, yeah, but I need a new camera. Like my husband like was like, okay, let's go get you a camera. So in terms of time, I dedicate way more time now because, you know, I have other like brand sponsorships and things like that. So it's just more time consuming than it was when it started.
Who are your followers?
So primarily women. Women ages 25 to 44 are my core audience. And I do have a chunk of women between the like 44 to 65 range as well. But primarily women, and it ranges of all different body types and all different sizes, which is really unique because I feel like for me as, you know, a plus size woman, a lot of other plus women are like just looking for that, but I love that it's women of all shapes and sizes that are following because they get the message that it's not, style isn't just one size. Style should be accessible for everybody.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you, what's Blonde in the District's message? But I think you kind of just summed that up.
Yes. Body positivity, style at any size, because body positivity is for people of all shapes and sizes. No matter if you're a size 0 or if you're a size 30, there's going to be something on your body that maybe you know, don't like or you've had an issue with. And I think it's all about just like living in the body that you have now and accepting yourself and being kind to yourself and really loving yourself.
Gosh, there are so many people at so many different sizes who need to hear this right now. That just love is accessible when? Right now.
Yes.
Right now. And,
of course.
Yeah.
Life is too short. Life is too short to be like beating ourselves up about stuff.
I feel like you're bringing me inside your day, inside your life. And it's not all, I feel like I'm part of it.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I don't feel excluded. Sometimes I'm looking at things, I'm like, oh, I'm not part of that. I feel a part of it and makes me happy. There's a happiness to your pictures as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try because, and especially with influencers too, there's so many people who just have this like super cool look and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to be her, but I can't be that cool. Or, I mean, you can be that cool, but you know what I mean? Just it's intimidating in a way. So I try and approach it to be very relatable to people, and you know, you just kind of have that connection with them because you get who they are and you can relate.
Is there a dream collab that you have?
Oh my gosh, I would love to work with Gucci. I just love their brand, the creativity, but Brand partnerships come in, various different ways. Brands can reach out to you. You can pitch to brands. And then different types of campaigns can look different. Sometimes it's just like one static Instagram post. Sometimes it's, a few, or sometimes it's even like a year partnership. So they can all be very different.
But what's your dream networking lunch date?
Kim and Kanye. They have to be a package of Kanye.
What's a typical day like? How do you balance it?
Literally every day is different. Like, it all depends. I try and do the best that I can. Say it's a really busy day for me. This is my typical day. I'll get up and shoot at like 7:30 in the morning with my photographer, go to my day job, 9 to 5, and then go to an event that night, and then come home. I do those days probably at least once a week, so sometimes twice a week. Other times, if it's something I don't have something in the evening, then I use that time to either spend time with my husband, just spend time catching up on whatever TV shows, or creating content, like writing blog posts, things like that. But like on the way to work, a lot of people always ask, how do you do a full-time job and your blog? And I think just timing, like knowing when you can block off time. I use like literally my commute time. I'll be sitting on the metro, like writing in my notepad, like writing my draft blog post that maybe I have to submit to a brand that evening. So I try and use my time wisely.
How often do you post a blog, and how often do you post to Instagram?
So I post to Instagram every day, unless I just am not feeling it. I'm just like, look, my engagement's gonna be low today because I use an app called Unum, which everybody should use. If it looks like the engagement is just kind of low, I'm like, why waste a good post? I'd rather save it and like post the following day when I'm gonna have better engagement on it. And for my blog posts, I at least once a week. For the holidays, I'm gonna be posting probably twice or 3 times a week.
Do you have help?
I have a manager, so she helps in terms of all my like brand inquiries and sponsorships and things like that. She handles that for me. But in terms of the actual like content creation and everything, it's just me. So I do hire out the photography, but everything else I do.
I remember once in this cool elevator in New York City handing my phone to a guy who was leaving the elevator. I said, could you just hold the door and take a picture, please?
Yes. Sometimes that's what you have to do.
So what kind of advice would you give to someone who wants to get into blogging and wants to become an influencer on Instagram?
I think just do it. The hardest thing, and I hear so many people are like, oh, I'm thinking about starting a blog, then start it. When I started my blog, I literally woke up that day, like I had been thinking about it, and I, had gotten my name and I had a little logo, and I was like, today's the day, I'm gonna publish this. I don't really know what I'm gonna say it, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna put it out there. Don't doubt yourself. Don't be like, what if it fails? What if no one comes? People will eventually come to your site and say what you have to say, but you have to start.
What do you want people to know about influencers so they have no idea?
I think people look at influencing that it's this easy, glamorous job, and it's not. It's not at all. There's a lot of behind the scenes work. There's, getting a concept for a photo shoot, doing the photo shoot, styling the photo shoot, making sure it's, on theme with if it's sponsored, on theme with the brand's guidelines, like figuring out, it's a very creative role, and you're playing, a creative director, a stylist, an editor, everything, sometimes photographer, videographer. You're playing all those roles, and people don't see that. People only see, a nice picture at the end of the day or something like that, but they don't see what goes into it. And then the negotiations, with brands. If you ever see me at 7:30 in the morning in DC, you'll probably see me with like bags of clothing and, a photographer in tow. Like it's nuts. So yeah, I'm constantly like a bag lady because I have all these different looks, or if I'm going to an event after work, I have stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, there's a lot of attention to detail. And I actually really appreciate that. Now, when I look and I see that you're wearing this amazing outfit and you've got the earrings, you've probably changed those earrings from earrings you were wearing earlier. And you had to remember that, lay that out, put it in a bag, and carry that with you all day.
Yes. And there's sometimes that we'll shoot a whole look, and I'm like, crap, I forgot to change my earrings, and I'm gonna have the same earrings in all 3 looks, So now what I do is I put like all my accessories, like if I have a purse to go with it, I put all my accessories, sunglasses in the purse with the outfit. So I'm like, okay, everything is like right here. So you learn along the way. But yeah, I mean, something as small as like your earrings. It's still important.
What's your best posing tip?
My first tip, just not posing wise, is lighting. Lighting is the most important thing for, you know this on TV, you have to have good lighting. That's the number one tip of a successful photo other than posing. For posing, I think, and something that I do and I have spent a lot of time doing, is looking at myself in the mirror and moving and like doing different poses. Like if I have an outfit, like depending on the outfit, right? Say it's something with like a really big skirt, I will practice how I'm gonna pose with that outfit on in the mirror so that I know when I go to take the photos, like, okay, I've already done this pose, like, oh, this has a high slit, let me like stand a certain way so that my leg peeks out and it's, you know, I look really good. So knowing your angles is the most important thing.
I'm writing all of that down in my head.
Yes, pose. Like seriously, your pose can say everything. It can say, world, I'm here. It can be like, oh, I am not feeling myself today.
What was that model camp, Coco Rocha?
So Coco, I have followed her and her career for like, literally, she was one of the first people I ever followed when I got Instagram. They call her like the digital model because she was one of the first models that really used the platform to share about her life, and that's how she, you know, started getting like so famous and things like that, other than the fact that she's brilliant, you know, and I saw her in like magazine ads and things like that. And I was like, who is this? She's so cool. So when I saw that she had a model camp, I was intrigued because a lot of times, you know, since, you know, with blogging has led me to different campaigns with like large brands. Like I've gone to New York City and had to be on a legitimate set, like a, you know, in the heart of Manhattan, hair, makeup, video station, photo station. You have to know how to move. And this goes back to posing. You have to know how to do something different so it's not the same thing in every single photo. So this was really an investment for me. I did it for myself. I did it so that I could, you know, not get stuck in the same poses over and over again. And it was just an incredible experience.
Oh, I just love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so excited about that.
So you literally like live like at a camp for, you know, 3 days and learn everything modeling.
It's like a dream to do that. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake that you made that you learned from?
I think working with brands that maybe didn't have the same values as I did. So, you know, when I started blogging, I was just excited when somebody wanted to work with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, they want to work with me. They're going to send me this product. Great, I'm going to do it. And I ended up doing a lot of work that with brands that I wouldn't necessarily work with today. I've learned that, you know, you have to be authentic. And when you're not, it shows. So I think that that's my number one advice is take a close look at the brands that you are aligning yourself with.
Gotcha. Questions from TV news women who I love, and my ladies want to know, what's your best Instagram tip?
My best tips are, one, to create content that's going to resonate with people and that stands out, because right now Instagram is so saturated that everybody's posting the same type of things, you know, the same style of post. You need to engage with your people. You need to engage with your people. So that is the number one thing. Be relatable, engage with people, because people are following you for a reason, and if you're not engaging with them, it just doesn't make any sense.
Gotcha.
So yes, so stand out and engage.
And this is an interesting question. How much do you actually make starting out versus people who are seasoned vets? I mean, we all see that like Kim gets $1 million a post.
Right.
That's Kim. And like, can you make money from this?
So there's, you know, a few ways to make money. When you start out though, I will say it probably took me about 2 solid years before I received any sort of monetary payment. I was getting payment in like clothing or products or things like that. And you have to look at it as it's an investment, you know, it's your business. And when you start a new business, you have to make an investment. So I think you need to look at it that way and look at it as you're going to eventually make, you know, the time that you spent, you're going to make that money back. And I think a lot of times, you know, looking at sponsorships with brands that are just product based or like, you know, exchanges, sometimes that's what you have to do to start out and get your name out there and get people seeing you. And also you can use that past experience, you know, and past collaborations you have to also think of like your Instagram. It's like a resume. People can go back and see what brands you worked with and how you're posted and things like that. So I think that you have to kind of expect to take on that unpaid work, and just do product exchanges until you really have built yourself up enough to start charging. And I know that that doesn't sound like the greatest thing. And I think you should try and, at least if you have some sort of following already, I think that you should try and pitch, some of your rates. But for me, that's how it worked out. But now I'm like, I'm not doing anything unless you want me to do what? Like, no, you're gonna have to pay, So, and plus a lot of brands in this industry just want everything for free. And it's kind of unfair. It's not kind of, it's very unfair. So I think that, as you get more seasoned, as you have more, brand collaborations, you can ask for more. But in the beginning, it is, an investment of your personal time, money, everything.
Yeah, and I really love what you said. We have to be paid for our time.
Exactly. And just look, so many brands, like I love to tell this story. When I first started, I was approached by this online fashion magazine to write articles for them. And I was like, this is going to be so great for me. I was making $5 an article. $5. Because I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm just going to get the experience. And I look back at it and I'm like, $5. Like, I can't even buy a Starbucks with that. What was I thinking? So that's another lesson learned. But again, I've done some amazing collaborations as well that are just product-based exchanges, on things that I would legitimately have bought myself, or I do buy myself and the brand reached out, or clothing, things like that. So you just have to be picky, again, about the brands you work with and decide what's worth your time and, what you can do for an exchange or what you need to be paid for.
$5. I get it.
Yes.
First job in news, I got paid $10 an hour.
$10 an hour.
I got one last question for you, and this is a great one from one of the women. Do you ever think, what if Instagram ceases to exist one day? Because it does go down, one day, like a year or something. But you have a plan. What's your plan?
So something I always say, and I am petrified of something happening to Instagram. And because of this, like literally, I'm like, I wake up in the middle of the night, like sweats, like, oh my gosh, what if my account gets hacked? What if something happens? Because it can happen. It's happened to people. And, with likes going away and things like that, the platform is changing. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe there's going to be a decrease in people who still use it. I don't know. But you have to be in multiple places. You have to have a Facebook. If something was to go down, you need to have another place where people can go to find you. So I always tell people, if you have you want to be an influencer, you need to have a website. Even if it doesn't have blog information per se, or blog entries and things, you need to have information about yourself, but you just need something, another place, and a place that you can potentially collect emails. So you have an email list. If something were to happen, you have access to your dedicated, audience. So be in multiple places. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
What do you do in your spare time? You don't have spare time. How do you veg?
I veg with wine and, catching up on the Kardashians and, things like that. My husband and I always go to Mexican food one night a week. It's our thing, or twice a week sometimes. I try not to work on Sundays so that it's just a day to do nothing. But, depending on, if a really good collab comes up, then I'll take it. But I try to just do nothing on Sundays.
I gotta get better at that.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
So I'm left to my own devices. So I'm always like, well, let me just get that done. But
yeah.
My life is just fleeting past me, and I'm not seeing people or doing things. But I'm like, I better get that email out. It's just, it's great. It's fun. It's exciting. But it's when am I going to go to yoga?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's the thing. I love to work out, but sometimes I'm like, when am I gonna get this in? When am I gonna go to the gym? So it's all a game. I feel like life is sometimes like Tetris, trying to fit everything in the box so it fits and everything works out correctly. But we make it work. That's all we can do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I just love talking to people, getting to know a little bit, and I'm just so blessed to know you and that you have the time to talk to us, because really, the women who are in the group, they they don't get the access like this. So to be able to do this is huge. Thank you. Okay, everybody, go and follow Blonde in the District. Let me say it again. Blonde in the District. She's right here. Blonde in the District.
Yes.
Get your phone. I'm waiting. Get your phone and follow her. I love you.
All right, love you. Thank you so much for having me. And good luck, everyone.
Yay. See you.